Well, it looks like we've started. Well, good evening. Here we are then. Hello. Back at it. I have tonight some peppers, and I put this bottle in the middle, and I still haven't made my mind up about it. I might yet go landscape. Wonder if that will fit. Which will be fine there if I do that. So yes, I might yet do that. I'm wondering if I should put something else in the middle, something shorter. So I've got this yellow and green. I wanted something warm. I don't want to go overboard with the colour. So I'm sort of thinking about what will sit nicely in between. And it could be something quite odd, something that just fulfills an abstract purpose, as in makes a good shape or is a good colour, rather than anything thematic, because it's just two peppers. I mean, how much of a theme can there be? So that's where I'm at the moment. So you've got a couple of minutes to come up with a suggestion. I did think of a tin of spray mount. That'd be quite fun, because it's a good blue colour, you see. I might go with that actually. Let's see how that looks by comparison. Or something with a bit of a brand to it. So that's an alternative, which I think is quite fun. Oh, people along. Hi Josie, and you're in. So yeah, I don't know if that's better. It might be better. Yeah, I don't know why. Just feels right. That's what we're going with. Now, is also an alternative to do something more conventional, like a flower. Yawn. Bottle of tin of spray mount it is. I'm going to put slightly behind the pepper. Yeah, happy with that. That's what I'm going to paint. Odd, nonsensical. Yeah, that's my cup of tea. And I'm going to go with landscape format as well. Oh, crikey. Right. So when I finish destroying everything, nudge that over a tiny bit. How's that look from where I am? Good. A little bit, give it a bit of distance. Oh no, it's not playing at all. Yeah, I'm fiddling there. That'll do it. Yeah, that's quite fun. So I've got a palette left over from yesterday. There's a lot of dark background on yesterday's painting. So you know what, I'm going to scoop that up all into a pile of neutral, which I can probably use in this. There you are. That's a pile of neutral grey. Let's do another one over here. That's getting a bit dry now. Yeah, I'll probably do for that. All right. That's all dried out. Oh no, that's not having it. And now I'm going to have lumps. I don't need any of that then. That's not helpful. Great. No tissue. Anything else? This, yeah, this orangey colour, that might come in useful. I'll keep that out front. Cool. Got space for some orange there. Got some highly polluted yellow. It's an odd yellow, this one. It's not my regular cadmium. I might have to get the cadmium out for an emergency, but I'll see how much I can make do with this in the meantime. Got some mixing titanium white and some mixing white. Got some burnt sienna there. This green. Yeah, let's keep some of that, shall we? Nice neutral green, good starting point. Yeah, can always reference that. Okay, I'm going to clean the rest up. This is me getting in the mindset. This is almost like a, what do you call it? Whatever athletes do when they're preparing. Psyching yourself up, that's the word. Ooh, gooey. Yeah. Delightful. Yes, this nice clean bit of glass palette is inviting. So although mixing can seem like a bit of a chore, especially when you're looking and thinking of the marks you want to make, sort of important. Okay, it makes or breaks a painting whether you bother to mix properly. Oh. And having a nice clean palette makes that all the more pleasing. That'll do, I reckon. A few other things I'll do. I'll make sure I've got some fresh paint out. So there's a skin on this burnt sienna, but there'll be some form to skin very quickly. There'll be some fresh paint on the inside. If I can avoid dragging any skin into it, which I haven't quite. And get some nice paint with no lumps. Have I got lumps? I have lumps. Oh well. It's an earth colour, so it's not expensive. So if I just put some more out, chuck this away. This is partly using up an old tube as well. Is it? Or did I buy some more of this? I can't remember now. That's a very important thing with art materials. Pretty much all art materials are useful somewhere for something. The main thing that makes art materials ineffective is remembering how much you paid for them, because that makes you be too careful and mean with them, which affects how useful they are. But if you can forget what you paid, you can go, oh, sheet of paper, I'll just use that, and it's just a piece of paper then, rather than £2.50's worth of canson something or other. So yeah, if you can remember what you paid for stuff, take the price labels off it and hide it in a drawer, and until it becomes just some stuff you can use. There we are. It's a bit of burnt sienna. Do a bit of a mop up. Look at that. Okay, I've had a chance to have a little think about this picture as well now. I think I can kind of see it. If I can see it, I can draw it relatively quickly, which is the main thing that's going to make this painting go fast. Right. I'm going to go with a small brush and draw a few lines first and then instantly regret it. But they're not going to be outlines, they're not descriptive lines. They are merely, let's put this in a triangle. I want this, I want space for that shadow. The edge of that triangle goes off, kind of contains the shadow. And it goes at that sort of angle. Just going to put my spray mat somewhere around there. Yeah, it's going to be about that. Let's put out some other shapes. If I see that triangle there, only a very small way across that distance is that vertical. The edge of the pepper is pretty much in the middle. This is all going to get a lot smaller than I thought. It's going to be something like that. That's too small. Made me think it was a bit big to begin with. So I'm just going to pop a bit of drawing in. I'm just going to trust myself to get it pretty close. Yeah, it's going to shrink really small. Is that too small in terms of space? It is. It needs to get bigger. Means I can make that a bit taller. Let's go again. Let's pop a bit of blue in it this time. There's still thin inky paint, no opaque paint in there. But if I take that line there and say that's where the top of the can is going to be, then how much am I expanding things by? Not much. If I put that and then the edge of the pepper here and then the edge of the can and blah 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 and then move it all over proportionately, I should have something a bit more like this. Which is, yeah, that's pretty good. That still wanders down there. That's still roughly in the same place. Not in the right place. Or if it is, the bottom of the can actually goes down here somewhere. This is probably about right. That's that space. Here's the shadow in there. Yeah, and that feels pretty good. Again, still lines at the moment. I'm not sure about that sort of outline area, so obscure that slightly. How's this going? Yeah, it's going to be higher than that. Yeah, that's probably going to move over a bit. Then what else have we got? I'm just thinking of directions. Some more red up there somewhere. What about this shadow? This would be the time to get a bigger brush out, but like I said, it's just, I'm just making marks for drawing. Oh. Yeah, these stripes sort of wander up there. What about this? Oh yeah. Bit of dark off the edge. Okay. Bigger brush. Let's put some tone in. And I'm going with warm tones here. Still using the burnt sienna. So that when the colours go on top, they'll have something to react against. Is that in the right place? That might need to move over a bit. Not sure. Right, great. There's a shadow there. What was that here? I can get rid of some of the the original lines I put on. Just where they're distracting, like here. That stuff there can go. That's kind of instantly forgettable now, isn't it? Lovely. Some tone. Same with these. Triangle's a distraction now. Lovely. So I've got a drawing in now. That's pretty useful. It's quite quick. I'm going to need a whole load of that sort of creamy colour, which I don't think it's going to be too far off what I've already got here. I'm going to make a little bit of white, which is some of the burnt sienna that's on the knife already. White, and I'll put a bit of yellow in there. That's a nice bright colour. My next one down has to go with that. Let's use some mixing white and a reasonable quantity of it. And use a bit of burnt sienna to make it quite orange. And we can add blue to that until it's not orange enough. That's pretty good. I quite like that. That'll do for a starting point. All mixed up in one go. Lovely. That looks quite green. That looks quite purple. Somewhere between the two of them. Something approaching what I need. Let's make a bit of black. Again, this is going to be a nice soft black because it's going to be, well, I don't mind a bit of white from the knife getting in. It's cobalt blue and burnt sienna. It's a little bit outside of the normal colours I use, but I quite like it. This makes a very soft purpley, slightly purpley black. We can use that to make a few other colours, like a grey. Let's pop that here. It's going to be slightly on the red side. That'll do quite nicely for the shadows, as they appear mostly. This green one is about right. I'm going to need more of that. Not a lot of tinting strength in that mixing white, which is the point of it. Yeah, it didn't do a whole lot. I'm going to put that somewhere useful. Let's put it here, it might come in useful. Bit more of that blue. Quite a dark grey, that one. Don't want to get too many greys too soon. Let's put a bit of titanium white in there just to brighten it up the little bit it needs. That's good. Bit more blue. A bit of yellow. Is that green enough? It's way too blue now. Ah. Well, I'm going to need a quantity of this, so let's have some more white in there. A little bit of yellow. See what this does. It's being really green. It's going to need a lot more yellow in that. A tiny bit of orange. Is that closer to what I want? Almost impossible to tell. It's just too early. No, it's very green. Although when I look at different bits, I can definitely see this colour. Okay. This is probably not much different to what's already there. It's a good shadow colour. Yeah, let's start with some of that. I'm also going to want an idea where my bright, it's going to be too much white. My bright yellow on that pepper goes. So this is like a lemon yellow, and not a particularly high tinting one. Make some weaker orange over here. It sticks so much more yellow in that. There we go. I can add that orange in incrementally without it going too far off. Again, probably still too much white in that. Let's pop that there. Is that going to do what? Yeah, that's pretty good. That's my most intense pepper yellow colour. It's quite a transparent yellow, that as well. So this is going to be a little bit transparent. Okay, there you are. That's a good placeholder. And my green, very dark, that green, but similar kind of thing. No, I'm going to put some blue aside. But again, let's get a whole lump of yellow and start with that. Is that going to be too much? Let's find out. That's about the yellowish green it's going to be. It's also much too strong at the moment, but a useful colour to put in. That's horribly intense. Oh my God, really, it's a really violent green. I'm not going to need anything like that. But it is the right hue. If I take a bit of this here, and add this green to it, that's something a bit like the palest green I get. Okay, that's useful. Let's put some of that there. And I also want to approach my sort of middling greens. What's going to be among the darkest greens. Let's get some of this black, a bit more blue in there. Mix them up together, see what they do. See how much of this green I have to add to make it the green I want. Oh, there you go, a bit more than that. Okay, that's pretty good. It's pretty good for the dark green. There's one that's just one lighter. We'll do the same thing again. And this time I won't put the blue in it straight away. Need some blue in it there, a little bit. That's too much. Yeah, let's have a bit of that. Calm it down a bit. There's a beginning with the greens anyway. A few more than I need. Let's go ahead and make some of those yellow shadow colours. I think some of this red might work well. It's going to get oranger. That's pretty good. Yeah, okay, I'm fairly happy with that. That's done. Let's get a little bit of this and a bit of this. Mix them together. Put more yellow in there, I think. Just for that shadow underneath. That could work. Right, at this point, I've probably lost track of what colours I've mixed to go where. I haven't even got anywhere near my my spray mount. Let's just do a general colour for that spray mount. So ultramarine blue would be a much better blue for this, but as it is, I don't have that, so I'll just get cobalt blue and put a bit of alizarin in it, see what that does. A little bit of white, just to give it some colour. Yeah, I'm definitely going to need some ultramarine for that. But only in specific places. This might do for quite a lot of it. Oh, we'll see what it does, I guess. Okay. I'm going to work with a bit of oil straight away on this. Let's go in with a big brush. Do I want this big brush? I think I do. It's got a little bit of thinners left on it, which will help move this around. Okay, let's see what's going to happen. This is a bit where I find out I haven't mixed anywhere near enough colour, isn't it? A bit of oil in that. Right, it's a couple of brush marks worth. Okay, so this sort of greenish tinge. I'm going to tip that towards the red ever so slightly. Still very grey. Okay, let's see what this does. Okay, there's a light bit there. Very little because it's pretty much the same as the grey that's already behind. Maybe I should do the darks first. Let's see what this does. No, that's pretty much the same. Do it. I think it might. Got to start with something. If it's the wrong colour, I can scrape it all off again and put it back on. So nothing much at stake. No, it looks the same. All looks the same. Let's just get it covered up then. I can at least think of some of the directions. That's going to be shadow. Once there's a context, I need some of the light to go on first as well. There, there's a layer of paint going on. Because I'm working on a grey, it's completely undetectable. What I can do is start to sort of make a space for where the lights are going to go. Lovely. Couple of lights to come in there, couple to come in here. Let's just fill that up, keeping my edges vague and blurry. And it's all going to get a lot lighter, so I don't want to put too much paint on there, but a little bit, just so it plays on the surface when it goes on. Let's take some of this and make it a bit lighter. Brought a bit of that yellow to go in it too. All right, let's see how this goes on. Actually, things like that. Okay, now there's a contrast going in there. There's still room for some very bright lights to go on top of this, so it's going to be a bit into there. Let's sort of travel across. Where else? Definitely quite a lot up here. It's going to get even brighter up there, but you can see how the existing paint is sort of being forgiving of what goes on top. I'm not getting hard lines. What's this? A little bit of light somewhere around there. folding of the fabric and what have you. So I've got some of these big shapes in now. Where else could some of that go? Somebody can go here. I may have put too much paint on there for it to do the appropriate amount of lightening. Okay. Yeah, nice big marks there. Ooh. And there we are. That'll do for that for the moment. I'm going to put in some of this shadow. I've got this quite dark. It's quite reddish, this colour, but it might work okay. I might need a bit of variety. Like a bit of red, a bit of green. There's definitely some in there. I'll pop that in. And there's a weird sort of gap, and then there's more. What about up here? Yeah, definitely some red shadow in there. A few places where it mixes on the surface. There's some. Okay, not enough paint, so I'm scrubbing that in, but that's all right. I'm not going to be too fussy about that. Now, there's a greenish one I wanted to see as well, and I'm not seeing that just yet. It's got to match that in terms of tone. Let's borrow a little bit of this. And it looks very pale by comparison. Some more of that black. It's a very small quantity of paint, but if I can find out whether the colour's right. Yeah, that's pretty good actually. I like that. Now I've got a lump. Well, that will just get pushed around the canvas and never ever leave unless I scrape it. So scrape it I shall. Okay. Right, I feel like I'm homing in on this a bit. A bit of that. A little bit of that green. That's what I used, wasn't it? Yeah, that's pretty good. Slightly darker, or a bit of that blue. And that'll be okay. Right, where else does this go? There's some in there. There's some in there. There's a bit there. That'll do for that. Yeah, a bit more in there. Where else? Where else does it go? A bit green. In here. Right in there. That's sort of pink. Anywhere else? Yes, across this flat bit here. A bit darker. And the other bits. Let's more purpley. There's some greener in there. Okay, I could get, and in there. Oh, yeah, there we go. I could get a bit carried away with trying to make all this perfect, but I don't really want to do that. That is a bit darker. There's that light, and then there's this shadow bit here. When the bright lights go on, they're going to forgive an awful lot of this. But I can do in the meantime. Put in a lot of this much darker colour, and especially where it's sort of these deeper shadows are hinted at. Where else? Yeah, around there. Not sure about that. Where else has got it? That's got a bit. No, it needs to go greener again. Okay, now I'm fiddling. Fiddling already. Can't have that. But yeah, I've got a sense of that fabric now. Yeah, so there's bits where it gets a bit darker, like there. Behind there, so we get that shadow in. Oh yeah, here we are. I'm seeing a few bits. There you are. So I've got using this accent light, which is slightly pink. I imagine you can probably see. I don't want to make too much of that. And I don't want this paint to get too thick either, because I'm probably going to want to go further with it afterwards. Would that do for the background kind of colour? You know what? I'm going to go back to this here. Put some more of that in just to sort of fill in the gaps. Anything else I've missed? No, it's just here actually. That will do for that. Okay. I'm sure I've missed a few bits, but it doesn't matter too much. Yeah, when it comes to putting the highlights on, that'll make a lot more sense of it. Let's gather this paint up into a pile. So I might need some mixing space back. Yeah, how are we doing? Yeah. Well, don't be afraid to offer any suggestions or insights you might have. I did come up with a title for last week's painting. I don't know if anybody was paying attention, but I had the Stegosaurus and the beer bottle. We really couldn't come up with a title, and then it occurred to me, Steg-do. Thank you very much. I thought that was good. Never mind. So yes, that's what that's called. Now, I was unreasonably pleased with that. Okay. I've got this, yeah, quite a few neutrals there. I'm not going to be able to remember which one's which, but that'll do. Let's get some blocked in colour for the objects. And I guess I will start with the yellow pepper. And I guess I also start with the bright yellow. I could make a slightly softer one just next to it, just so I've got somewhere to go with the brightness. That will do. And now closing one eye, blurring my vision, and just see, yeah, it's still not orange enough. Yeah, it's much more like that. Okay. Let's get a few of these shapes, and I've got a direction there. It's sort of pinched. I'm not going to go overboard with the trying to get the colour exactly right first time. It's mostly just about the big shapes. It's a nice bit of strong yellow at the top, so I'll prepare that area. Now if I go to my orangey colour underneath, should work for that. There's a bit of reflection stuff, but we'll deal with that later on. That comes around there. This is somewhere halfway in between the two. It's also a bit green. Might as well just go straight for the green. Is that, yes, there's that bit of yellow. And there's a brown version. Just sort of under there. Some other bits of this around the place. Bits where it's redder, bits where it's greener. Slight variations as you go along. Now I'm already losing this. I've got a rough idea of what's where, so there we are. Okay, that's me basic yellows. Let's do some basic greens. I'm going to go dark at the beginning, and I think this is going to be way too green. I think it's going to need to be a lot bluer when it comes about. I'm also changing the shape as I go, because that shape I put on isn't exactly right. There's some dark green. There's some dark green there. There's a bit. Else a little bit at the top. Some there, some there. Starting to find it now. And again, as long as this is blocked in, there's a paler one here. Which is again still probably too green, but there you go. it'll accommodate the lights when they go on top. Let's make a slightly paler, bluer one in here. Oh, that's great, isn't it? I was referring not to my painting, but to the presence of some very loud music from a car outside. Okay, too much information here for me to sort of figure it all out now. So, but there's a general shape in there. More stuff I can fix as and when. It's going streaky because I'm not mixing this properly, so I'm just going to make this suitably vague so I can have some confidence when it comes to putting that edge in, which I am going to want. There's an edge. There's another one up here somewhere, but I'm not going to worry about it now. He says worrying about it now. What about the stalk? That's rather interesting. This other colour. It emerges from here and it travels around like that. If I go back into sort of my reddish shadow colours and look at that negative space, it's going to go in here. Sort of like that. Yeah. Around there. And before I do any more to that, let's just get this slightly lighter colour. I think that's going to be green enough, but let's see. And say there's this sort of shape. There we go. That does work quite well. This sort of shape up top. And let's see if we can find out where those sort of yellowy colours go. There's a cleaner green. Going to need more white here as well. Sort of in there. It's not sticking. Might have to do a bit of scraping in a bit. That'll do for that. Make up. I'm going to put some of this grey in first. That feels about right. Before I do any of the patterns or anything like that, I'll just... Oh yeah, I'll put some darks in afterwards. It's also going to go in here. Also going to go up here somewhere, but maybe I don't know enough. Feels like I know it goes there. I might yet find out I was wrong. But yeah, I guess we'll find out, won't we? Right, let's do some of this blue. And if I'm not sure about the line of it, let's get that vertical. I'm going to go all the way over here. Join up some gaps. Yeah, not a million miles off. This is actually a really good colour for the nozzle. It's going to be about there. But not for almost anything else. Maybe for the highlight down there. No, not even that. Okay, going to need a bit of ultramarine. I think I'll do this with a brush mix. This should be transformative. I've already got an opaque colour, so just mixing that with the brush should give me the opportunity to, yes, there we are. It's even a bit more purple than that. Let's turn it up. A little bit of alizarin in there. There you are. That's a little the orange square of warning. It's after all glue in a can. Sorry, repositionable adhesive in a can. Okay, a bit more of that in there. That come further over, probably does. I guess that'll do for that for the moment. Pop a little bit of white in there. See how much more blue we can make it. It needs to be a bit more purple still, especially those little highlights there. What about on the other side? Oh. Cute. Yeah, that's better. It still get bluer. And then it can still get blacker as well. There we go. For me, the paint's getting too shiny. It probably is for you too, so let's pop this on. Let's see if that helps. There we go. Is this vertical enough? I'm not sure. I've just leant over in my chair so I can see around the corner, which is quite a bad idea. That shape's there. There is quite fun. There's another one there. It sort of creeps in once the lights are on top. That will help a lot. There's that. Well, I've got this bluey black on. I might use it to do a few of these shadows on here. It all makes on the surface. In the meantime, won't hurt to pull out a few of these extra bits of shadow. There be some. There we go. Dark behind there. Oh, that's kind of a ground in now. There's paint on most of the surface. I think I might have a very short break. Seems about an hour in now. And it won't take much to finish this off as long as I've got a good palette helping me. Anything else? Anything else to do at this stage? Yeah, I think I can put some green in for that stalk of the yellow pepper. And I haven't done my red stripes either, but I think that's for the end. So let's just... This is quite fun. Anything else? No. Really going to try and keep it simple for the sake of finishing. Yeah, I'm even going to wash that brush. That's how confident I am. I'm done with this stage of things. Hmm. So I haven't bored you all with the time lapse for a while, so I think I'll put that on. And come back. Yes, yes. Well, yeah, not when I say a good palette, Josie, what I mean is I'm only a quick brush mix away from having the right color in the right quantity, which means if I haven't got my sort of so for example with the shadow on the yellow pepper, for example, if I haven't got those oranges and yellows and browns and things I need there in appropriate quantities to mix that color and create that sort of small graduated change as I see it, I'm just going to use the wrong color, and I'm going to be dabbing the wrong colors into things, and I'm going to lose track of my tones and my hues, and the whole thing will get away from me and then look terrible. So that's that's what I want to avoid. And so yeah, so if I've mixed decent quantities of the core colors that are going to contribute to the image, then I'll be okay. And if I haven't, I won't. So I guess we'll see how that plays out. So yeah, I'm going to go put the kettle on. I'll be back in 5 minutes, and I will see you then. Hey, back again. Wonder if everyone left. No, there's more of you. Yeah, nice to see. We're welcome back, and I guess I might be more than halfway through, but I'm certainly at least halfway through. I'm seeing a few other things that I'm going to need to address. One of which is the red stripes, and also I really want to be careful here, not to get too fiddly and careful. Now I always say that, and I always do exactly the opposite, but I really think I can manage it. Now that doesn't mean I need to be careless. It means I need to simplify and be careful with my simplifying. The drawing's okay. That's sort of everything's roughly where it should be, so I don't have to stress about that anymore. This pepper isn't exactly right, but I quite like it as it is. And yeah, at this point, I've really got to just trust the process and yeah, just build the finished things. So I'm going to go into the can here, and I'm going to put in a few darks, and I'm going to start with the darkest darks and just see where they go, and I'm just going to slot them in. I'm going to go for a browner dark here as well. So there's some there. Now it's really tempting to do all the ellipses, but I just want to put general dark marks in roughly where they go. I'm also seeing it go a bit greener here as well, so I've got some green I can use. So that can go there, and there's bits that are going to have light over the top of them. There's bits where I want a dark edge. Maybe that's enough. Maybe not. This bit in the middle. Some shadow in there. I'm not working in enough detail to be fussy about that kind of thing. I can, while I'm doing these lights, make a kind of highlight reflection color, which is going to go in there. And it's going to go all the way to the top. A bit of it in there as well. Let's put a bit in there as well. Ooh, I've got some of this grey. Let's make that a little bit lighter. So I'm already dipping into that very light colour I mixed. While I've got this, now I'm getting clumsy. There we are. When I get round the corner, I've got some of this slightly reddish shadow colour. And that can be some of this writing on here. So I can kind of see where spray mount's going to go, and then that's going to go there, and then it's going to change to a white colour. Where else is this going to be? It's also going to be up here as a light. And this sort of pale and slightly greeny colour, I'm going to use a bit of that green. So that's going to give me a light there. It's going to give me a bit of a one here as well. A bit murkier over here. Okay, some concentration going on now. That shadow colour. And darker in the middle. And so I pop that in. Once the highlights go on afterwards, that should absolutely do what I need to do to describe this tin. And put it down at the bottom as well. It's going to have a little bit of a highlight around there, and it's going to get darker. Again, borrow some of that green. I don't know what kind of metal it is that makes it look green, but it looks green, so that's what I'm going to paint. And this extra bit of dark just in the middle here. There we are. And what else for the tin? I can always make some more of this light. I think I'm going to need it. So I'm going to need this for the rest of the text. It sort of swoops down from here to that, and across here as well. Join that up a bit. Same kind of thing around here. That's the whole of that. That's the whole of that. Some more of that yellowy highlight. While it's really bright, let's just pop a few bits on. Is that too much? No. A little bit in the middle of there. Nice. That's too fine a mark to make with the paint I've got, so let's not worry about that. I might have to use my colour shaper a bit here to just clear a bit of space away from where that goes. Here. That's kind of where the M goes. The palette back. That's kind of where the 3 goes. Let's see how that works. I'm not trying to do the actual text itself. But I do want it to have the same shape. Don't think there's any more whites to go on there. A little dash there. That will do it. Right, so let's go into this yellow. And it's quite a clean pale yellow. Yeah. And again, I just sort of want a few of those. Shapes. And it's bright up to here. And here. And then it changes. We go into something much more like this. That feels a bit like it's going around a corner. Yeah, it's quite funny, isn't it? If I go into my orange now, I don't think I'll bother trying to do the cross. I think I'll just put the orange bits on. Maybe we'll put the cross on afterwards. Or maybe we won't need to bother. Now, while I've got that orange on the brush and that yellow, let's go into here. Still not enough. So this orange, I'm just going to go right in with it and see how much more orange I need to make this. There's already paint on the surface, so I can kind of go for it a bit without worrying too much. I'm just changing these other colors as I go along. Quite a bit more orange in there, a lot more orange around the inside of this. In that gap there. Just go a little bit more yellow at the edge, see how much we can turn this yellow up. Quite a bit, it would seem. Actually, that can come down further. Hey, I'm finding out just how transparent this yellow is now. It really is mixing on the surface, but I'm not worrying about it too much. Put a little bit more white in there just to make it sit up, especially here. There can be a lot more yellow, and that wanders around the top nicely, creates a nice edge. That's a one mark kind of area. I might still have to visit the visit the cadmium yellow at some point, because it will just be more yellow than that. That didn't really do what I wanted it to. I wanted that mark to sort of spread out evenly both sides. A bit more like that. There we go. A bit more like it. Just sort of, yeah, little light bits like that. Get some more white on here. Okay, I've sort of saturated it now. There will still be room for some highlights. And I can use this very light colour, this very light yellow on the brush, and then actually remove paint while I address those areas. So there will actually be room for a bit of white paint to come off the brush, and this will support it. It'll sit underneath it quite nicely. It's good. Not sure about that last bit. Okay, clean that off, and then we can really go into our browns. If I put a shape in there, this is much further down. And I've got this green colour. I'm going to really load that in there and increase the scale of this pepper. Pop a bit of yellow back into it. Just along here, a bit of reflection. As that comes round, it's going to be a different kind of light. It's this purpley light. I'm going to really just make it pink. And some orange to that. And a bit of the brown just to sort of take the edge off. And see what that does as a reflection. Yeah, that kind of works. Yeah, that'll do. Also a bit of this as kind of highlights along here. I don't want to make too much of that. Haven't gone into the greens yet, but I have got this pale green. Now, I don't want to do too much with this. I just want to sort of hint at the structures and the shapes. Yeah, there's a yellow or green there. Okay, let's get a highlight on top of that. I'll do a stop there. Get a bit more of that green just for the edge. That's nice. Do I need any of those in there? I don't think I do need any more in here. He says doing it anyway. Fine. Okay, a few more brushes on the go now. I am going to mix up some of that red I was talking about. I'm going to use some cad red here. I'm going to use a bit of that dark green. I'm going to make a dark version of this red colour. It's still pretty intense. That's the nature of the reds, I think. And shall I use a little brush? I think I'm going to need to, or at least a brush that makes a sharp point. Little brush. Nothing wrong with a little brush. Ah, got some more comments. Oh, they come again. Oh, that's going his mum's car, I think. I wonder how loud the stereo goes. What we got over here? Sort of change of colour over here. Where else is this? It comes out here somewhere as well. Let's just imagine that up there. I don't think there's much more to do with this dark colour than this, other than maybe sort of carry it on over. I may have overdone it with the red. I'm going to get closer together. Nah, I'm being clumsy now. Yeah, I might get a lighter. Maybe I can do more of this with the dark. No, there is a lighter version of it. What else then? What else while I'm thinking about it? How about I get paint all over my hands? That's what else. Let's see if there's some other comment. Good evening, Jason. Nice to have you along. Okay. Do a little thing. Get some of this. Make a shape there. And a bit of one there as well. Oh. Nothing to do but drive around in circles with their music playing. wearing his best tracksuit and everything. Bless his heart. Right. Where was I? I got distracted by a moron. Right, I'm going to put a few of these highlights on, see if they sit. Yes, they do. That's sticking. Actually, use a little bit more of that yellow. Make more than one mark as well. Little ping, ping, ping. Yeah, quite pleased with that. That works. Could always bring some more yellow back in if I think it's too much. I'm going to make a lighter, more orangey red here. Right. And let's put a load of this red on there. See what it does. Down and along. Okay, where else does that go? Here. That's good. And then it sort of has to get closer together as it goes around that dip. So put a bright bit on the top. Nice. Let's go back to that darker one. I can barely tell them apart, but hopefully it should work from a distance. That will do for that. Okay, this green's going to be a real pain, I can tell. Well, I don't know, positive thinking. Maybe it'll be great. I'm going to keep adding this this insanely bright green I made and see how much I can lift what's already here. Because I've already got a layer of paint down, I can actually go a little bit further. Maybe that will come up. Where else? A little bit on the inside of there. I can keep going with this actually. Yeah, maybe a bit more of that in there. Some proper intense green around this. I'm going to shy away from that. gets bluer. I think I've already got that. It's all sort of the same family of green. I probably should have made more than one. But let's make a bluer light version of this green. Let's pop a bit in there. That works. There's some in here. There's some there, and then there's this vertical reflection mark here. There's even a bit of it on this side, but it's sort of almost creamier over here. Does that do it? Used up this white now, but if I do the same thing I did with the yellow pepper, use the brush end on, it'll remove a fair bit of paint as well as putting some of this light on. And when it comes to putting the highlight on, should work pretty well. And go back to this intense green colour. Let's pop a bit of that in there. That works. Let's have a little bit up at the top. That's good. That's the only place where there's a highlight, so let's pop that in. Nice. Let's go all the way to the actual highlights. Is that going on? Will that do it? I'm not really happy with the green one at all. No, that's not going to do it. Let's get some green around that. Into it. Let's soften those edges. You know what? I'm going to make an even more intense green. It's quite blue, but it's quite intense. I'm going to pop some of that in here. Yeah, there we go. I just needed a bit more of a what would you call it? A change of hue. You know, we need some blue greens, and we need some yellow greens. A bit more blue green in that. Okay, that gives it something. Same here. Same here. Put a bit of blue green. Now let's just make a really yellow green. Let's see how disgustingly yellow we can make it. Pop that in there. Maybe not disgustingly yellow enough. How about here? Put a bit of white in it. There we go. Yes, it's just about turning up the colour, really. One last one, just to be cheeky. Let's put some orange in it. There. That is a little bit naughty, but it works. Okay, last thing is probably the highlight colours. I'm going to put these brushes on the tissue so I don't wash them, just in case I need to revisit something, which is highly likely. Oh, I haven't even used that one yet. Right, Let's get a medium and a couple of medium-sized brushes. I'm not using brand new ones either. I don't know what I'm doing. Stop pretending I know what I'm doing. Right, so I've got all these mid-tones. I've completely destroyed the bright lights I made. So I'll have this one for the mid-tones. And then I'm going to mix some more bright whites, and I think I've just about got enough white to do that. So that's all now weird pale greens somehow. Put that over there. Let's have a bit of that orange. A little bit of this. In there. A little bit of that pale yellow. Should do it. If I start at the brightest bits and then move out. And that to be a highlight. There you are. And as it mixes in, it becomes gradually softer until eventually it doesn't do anything at all. That's great. We can use that. Where's the next brightest bit? Here. Yeah. Don't get too much of that pink on there. I can help it. Possible that's too much paint there to do anything with, but I can still kind of refine the edge of this can, and especially around the top up here. Sort of funny little lip. There we are. Yeah, let them break up a little bit. Nice. A good little highlight there, which I spotted before, but I'm really going to make something of it now. Make that dip there. Okay, and as this brightens up, I can see this working. I can see it making sense of what I've already done, which is a relief, because you don't always know. And these brushes are fairly consistent with the sort of the way this fabric sort of folds up and creates forms. Any fabric will have a bit of that sort of quality to it. You can kind of home in on it. There you are, so those little creases and bits and pieces. Where else can I look? It's going to be a bit over here. Not a whole lot. And what I haven't done yet, which should help it too, is a bit of the background colour. This will refine some of these shadows. Put some of this light in here. Oh, wake up. Keep it vague. Let that blend in down there. And we kind of ignore it. There you are. How much do I want to go into doing this pink highlight on the other side? I don't know, let's see. That works quite well. And if that works, I can put it along here. Which will help me make that edge of the tin a bit more undefined. Take off the edge of that shadow. It's greener there. Let's go across to a slightly whiter version over here. Is that in? Feels like it's almost in, doesn't it? Last bits are going to be the nozzle on the can. But apologies if you've been shouting that at the screen for the last 10 minutes. I will get around to it. Okay, back to my little highlights. There's a few in here. Still not 100% on that green pepper, but not all bad. Don't think I need to fiddle with that. I think that's okay. Yeah. Oh, so there are some last bits. One is these blacks. I'm going to use a little bit of oil, not too much. I'm going to use that brown. I'm just going to put some marine blue into it. See if this helps. That's still too brown. It is a little bit more ultramarine. Yeah, I'm going to deliberately keep that a bit scrubby. As long as I can make a hard line along there, that's fine. The rest of it, that'll do for that. And back to my little highlights. Some along the edges here, especially things like that. That really makes a difference. And there, let's pop a bit of that too. And last thing, let's get some of this. Let's use this green. A bit of an underneath, not dark enough. Yeah, that'll do, I guess. yeah, there you are. It's time. Nozzle on the can, and then I think I'm done. So let's have a little look at that. Ugh, stuff. Oh yeah, I have my smaller brushes from earlier. This one's got pink on it, it's close enough. Okay, I'm going to put a bit of pure cobalt. No, even that's not quite right. Okay, I've change of plan. I want intense blue. Just sit on the top here. That's going to go there. That's very nice. And I'll drag that down one side. And that'll do for that. And then we'll put some white in it. Is that all right? I think that's all right. Whew. Nice bit of this purpley highlights. Let's pop a bit of that in there. Good. Oh, well, we've got a few of those. We could dot a few on here. Anyone else need one? Yes. That needs a nice pink stripe there. And I'm stopping. I'm going to sign that in blue. Ta-da. Okay, let's have a little close up. Thank you all for your encouragement. Ah. Well, I don't know who DD Express is, but I'm sure I probably should. So yes, thank you for making it along, but sometimes worth a nose to have a little scrub through and see how the whole thing happened. That's exactly why I do these things. So there you go. All right, so I'll go to the other screen. There we are. There's my little setup. And let's have a little zoom in. Okay. There we are. See, that's from my point of view. I would zoom, but don't know how to. Yeah, this is a bit of fun. So if I come on in. There's my yellow pepper. That's my tin of spray mount. And there's my green pepper. Green pepper was especially tricky because, as you can see, it's quite hard to pull the colours out. But if you look at this, you can see how there's blues and yellows pretty much, and a blob of red in there. Once you get a bit of distance, it kind of works. And the shadows on the cloth, I'm quite pleased with the cloth. I think that works pretty well. So yeah, that was a bit of fun. Yeah, if you want to not sell any of your paintings, put something weird like a tin of spray adhesive in the middle of it rather than a conventional still life, and wait for people to use it as an excuse not to buy it. And I can't help myself. One day people will understand. Yeah. So yes, that was a good laugh. Oh, you know what? There is one last bit I could fiddle with. Not just for the sake of fiddling, but simply because it does need doing. And that is the reflection of some of those stripes. And that'll do. I'll stop there. Thanks very much for joining me. And I'll look forward to seeing you next week for whatever happens next week. Who could possibly know? A week is a long time in the studio, to paraphrase someone or other. Have a lovely evening all, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Toodaloo.